unforeseen problems that they have incurred that maybe we don't even know about. A letter has been drafted, but we will be reviewing that letter and updating it for release to the county's employees. Jay would like to address the court. I will tell you I've had emails from Robert Marlin.
So you got their money?
Yes, sir. They are all paid.
They're all paid?
Yes, sir. They are.
As of when?
As of this morning, 8 o'clock. Because of the ACH processing and payroll, whenever it didn't go Thursday night, you're subject to the Fed and their calendar, as some of the other bankers in the room and former bankers know. So they actually would not receive credit until this morning, required by natural rules to actually post that by 8 o'clock this morning. So they were all paid. And we confirm that.
Figure out what the problem was and found a way to make sure it doesn't happen.
Yes, sir, we certainly have. We identified quickly on Friday what the problem was. We put a new processing system in place, but the actual errors that occurred were human errors. And we have multiple stop gaps to catch those, and we failed to do that. I mean, just quite honestly, it was a human error. We put additional safeguards in place, and we're going to be working with Martha and the rest of the Treasury Department and county attorneys to make sure that we have systems in place to ensure that this never happens again. We value the confidence that you've had with us in the past. I assure you that personally and on behalf of the board, managing the board for us.
Great. Jay, well, thank you for coming this morning. I've known Jay. If you would give your business card to Ann Carr, I need to tell you on another matter, not related to this.
Commissioners, and thank you for allowing us to go first. And now we've got business back in the office. We're going to.
Okay. Proclamation, homes, Ricky Road.
My understanding currently, no way we can get any portions of that revenue in any kind of grant whatsoever, must remain in the
That is my understanding.
Good
Morning.
How busy this weekend?
Yes, sir. Busy weekend.
You were on fire truck.
Yes, sir. It's pretty interesting times yesterday. We didn't think we'd see some fire like we did. Well, we knew the predictions were going to be bad, but it's cropping up. Right now, we've got Montgomery County in. It's just a quick update. We have partial containment on fires in Walker County, Sheriff's Department. I'm sure probably the constables are out there well in Grimes County. I know the Sheriff's Department units are supporting operations along with our people in Walker County. We've got quite a few fire units that are either there, rotated in from the lines last night, and are going back out today. We're keeping some resources in our area. They're also bringing in strike teams from the Galveston area, Harris County. They haven't been hit as hard, so we're bringing in resources in case we have one crop up in Montgomery County. Right now, the thing that's helping us is we've got a lot of resources on the ground. The fire departments are staffing up, and they're jumping on these things with 3, 4, 5 units real quickly to get them under control. Because we're seeing in other areas where they don't have the resources, once it gets beyond 10, 15 acres, it's very difficult to control. So we'll go right into our first recommendation. The first thing that we have on the agenda is to consider an approved extension of the restrictions on outdoor burning. We passed the original burn ban almost 90 days ago, and it's good for until July 11th. But I think it's prudent at this time to go ahead, and it will expire. And I believe that's our next court date. So we would ask that we go ahead and extend the burn ban for another 90 days until conditions improve. And then, again, we'll lift that whenever conditions do improve, but certainly that's an action that needs to be taken today. So I'd ask that you approve that at this time.
All in favor, say aye.
The second item, and one that we need to discuss, is considering to take appropriate action on our recommendations with respect to a local disaster declaration under Chapter 418 of the Texas Government Code. This is something that we've really never done before, I think, in our area, is we're using a section of state law to allow the county judge to declare a disaster situation and take action that he normally wouldn't do except in extreme situations. And obviously we'd agree at this time that we're there. We started in May meeting with the fireworks industry. We met with folks from Montgomery County. Our counterparts in Harris County met with the vendors there. And we've got some folks from the industry here. We're talking probably 600 locations between the two counties. It's a good estimate of the number of people. We met with the fireworks industry, started talking about what our options were if this drought continued. At that time, it was fairly bad. but we wanted to focus on what happened if it kept on going. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think any of us thought that it would get to this point before July 4th. We thought it might get bad if we didn't get rain, but not this early. We really expected it to give us a few rain showers and give us a little bit of a break. What we came up with is the recommendations that we're putting forth today. And we're basically talking about two levels in the drought index. The first one that we talked about was to institute a disaster declaration when the drought index for the average reached 700 for Montgomery County. And our original plan there was when we crossed 700, the disaster declaration would trigger a short sale season, July 1st to July 4th. Obviously, we've blown through 700 a couple of weeks ago, and pretty much what we expected, when we pass that 700 level, our fire behavior becomes very extreme, very erratic. And almost to the day that we crossed that level, we started having a major fire. And that's when you really have a danger zone. So initially that was the short sale season, we blew past that. The second threshold was 750 on the Keach Fire and Drought Index. And at that point, it was agreed that it was simply too dangerous at that time to have anything that could ignite a fire. We talked about all the different things that are causing fires right now. My understanding is the Grimes County fire, most likely they're tracing it back to a barbecue pit. We've heard stories, we actually verified stories, somebody mowing their yard, hit a rock, started their yard on fire, a very simple thing like that. So we've had some fires from folks cutting and welding outdoors, so we're taking steps. We've actually had some operations shut down because of the danger right now. So with the fireworks industry working with us in the two counties, we came up with these recommendations. Initially they were slightly apart. The two groups met. We met our county, the representatives from our county industry, and the representatives from Harris County, and the Texas Fireworks Association Harris County chapter president. And we came together with the recommendation that you have today. And that was once we reached 750 on the drought index, that we would restrict the sale and use of all fireworks until conditions improve. What we have built into the recommendations today is basically a clause that if we do get sufficient rainfall to drop the index back below 700, back below that extreme level, then the the declaration itself will expire. So that'll give us an out. We have that ability if we get sufficient rainfall between now and July 1st. That'll bring it down below 700. That will expire. That'll give the opportunity for a short sale season if those conditions improve. If they don't improve, or if we just get some rainfall, we have options. We've been talking with them. We've talked to anything from a 36-hour sales season if we got some rainfall, all the way up to a 4-day. There's certainly some options, but without further rainfall, I think that everyone would agree that at this point, the recommendation has to be that no further sales of fireworks, are used in our county. We're going to see that action taken by other counties around us. I think that's going to help us some because we won't have the ability for someone to go purchase them and bring them back into Montgomery County as well. So,
Jimmy, what is the number today?
I don't have the updated number today, but it's well over 750. And
753, right?
753 right now. I thought
They haven't updated it.
they have not updated today. So we're going up, Mr. Jones, we're going up about 2 to 3 a day.
Right, 2 to 3.
2 to 3. Yes. We spent the night out on the fire line, so we can get the updates this morning. But
So what kind of rain would it take to take us from 760, say, to below 700?
we don't have a good estimate. Nobody really has. The problem we're having is we've just never really been at these drought levels. So the folks, even at the Forest Service, they can predict fairly well at 650, 700 how it affects it. We're so dry. Everything that we can get, best estimates is 2 to 3 inches of rain minimum to even start dropping it to help. The problem that you can have is if we just get a half-inch rain or a 1-inch rain, you can lose 2/10 of the day to evaporation. So in 5 days, for all intents and purposes, the effect of a 1-inch rainfall are gone. So we really need 3 inches, 4 inches, something like that, to even really start affecting it. And to get out of this, we're talking 10 inches.
It would have to be driven below the 700 index level that he consider removing the declaration.
Well, and the declaration itself is set to expire upon reaching under 700. Once it goes under 700, that's the expiration clause. And we didn't put a physical date because at this point, we keep the thing in effect as long as we stay in that extreme range. The minute it goes below that extreme range, then if it does that before July 1st, we have the opportunity to do a couple of things. We could let it expire. If If we get a lot of rain, it drops back, just let it expire, and then let them go in and do what they can, depending on how many days are left. If it drops just below 700, and we expect, or the forecast is going to be, it's going to be hot, dry, and windy, then we'll work with the guys, and we'll come up with, do we need to open for 36, 48, if it drops down. So we have the ability to issue another disaster declaration for a limited short season, or we could do nothing. If it goes back all the way to 650, we could do nothing and let it go back to a normal sales season. So those are the options. The automatic expiration is once we go under 700.
Have you heard from Grimes, Walker, or San Jacinto?
San Jacinto County has banned or restricted the use and sale of all fireworks by the same disaster order. They did it last Monday. Walker County is, the last conversation I had, I met with the county judge up there, they were contemplating it. They were a little bit wetter than we were. I would imagine after the fire they had yesterday, that there's probably going to be some pretty drastic action. The problem that they have, they're good folks up there, but they just don't have the resources that we do. And we saw that yesterday. We sent them a lot of help, and they were overwhelmed. They had so many fires, some of them literally didn't get responded to for a while. So I think they're going to probably take some drastic action. Harris County, I don't want to speak for them, but obviously they're working with us. They have the same plan. Their industry agrees with them, so I would expect that Mr. Belansky or Mr. Jones, I would expect to do the same thing from Harris County. I think the sector staff has not changed their opinion from down there. And Texas probably will. We're going to see the same action there. Have not heard from Liberty County yet, and I would expect that Grimes County is going to be considering what they're going to do. Right now, they're still in emergency management mode trying to contain the fire. So
What is the status of the Grimes County fire right now?
it's, they had containment on it last night. The problem we're going to have today is the winds flare back up. We saw this, a good example of the Trinity Polk County fire. 4,000 acres. So yesterday afternoon, it blew up, it's 15,000 acres. So we could see the Grimes County fire or the Walker County fire go anywhere, they're 2 to 3 now, we could see them go to 10,000 acres today if the containment lines don't hold. We could see more houses lost. And the thing that we have to consider is we could see the same thing here. We're hitting every resource we got. The minute it comes in, every available firefighter is responding, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to get out of that. Once it gets beyond the first 10 acres, 15 acres, you really, yesterday's fires, you could not attack them. You could not do anything with them. We literally had to wait for the winds to die down last night. It was just too dangerous to get in there.
How many homes have been destroyed in Grimes County?
So the last we had
And the
was,
number of acres.
the last we had was approximately 3,000 acres, 30 homes, and 20 outbuildings. But there'll be a better assessment of that today. So, and a lot of that was pretty much in flux last night. I know we have at least one Montgomery County Sheriff's deputy that lost a home, I understand, last night to a fire in Grimes County. So, a pretty serious situation for those folks.
What's the recourse if all the fireworks association members, what that group is, shut down, and somebody decides they're going to open up an independent, what's your recourse on them? Can you shut them down?
Yes, sir. Obviously, the first thing we'll do is make them aware of the disaster order, and I can tell you that with the scrutiny out, if anybody tries to open up, we had 40 folks in attendance when we met here at Commissioner's Court one evening. We met with the industry. We had 40, most of our vendors here in the county. But we do have 1 or 2 that come in and try to open up. What will happen initially is we'll warn them. If they fail to comply with the disaster declaration, it's a Class D misdemeanor. So that could be jail time or a fine up to $1,000. We would seek, if necessary, we would seek charges to the district attorney's office, and they could be filed on for violating the disaster declaration. I don't think we'll get to that, but we'll probably have a couple that will be unaware, but we'll be there to.
Authority to shut them down
Yes, sir.
immediately?
Yes, sir. We'll have the authority under the disaster declaration to shut them down immediately. So,
Okay, I move under the fire marshal's recommendation and the disaster declaration.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Thank you, Jimmy. Good work.
Thank you, Jimmy.
I think, sir.
Off, I guess. Oh, you ready? I guess the good thing, it didn't really affect Montgomery County yesterday, and also you're able to assist with the fires in surrounding counties. Tell me about that.
Yes, we had numerous fires yesterday, and of course mixed in with this is the everyday responses. We had several house fires throughout the county. Our firefighters were able to respond to those. We've been working, really beefing up the responses to each incident. Each incident gets more trucks than normal, more apparatus, more firefighters, so we're able to get on them quickly, and that's somewhat of the difference, because what we're seeing is once that fire spreads beyond the initial few acres, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to even approach. It gets to generating its own heat. We're having a tough time even going in there and working on the fire during the heat of the day in the afternoon with the wind. So what we're able to do by containing our fires, Montgomery County law enforcement and fire are supporting operations in Walker County and Grimes County. We have the emergency operations vehicle is currently at the command post. They're operating the command post in Walker County out of that vehicle. Montgomery County Sheriff's deputies are helping. They helped last night with manning checkpoints and doing evacuations. Montgomery County fire units are throughout that area assisting. In fact, Montgomery County fire units are headed back up there now as the fires are breaking and testing. What we're going to see this afternoon is the containment lines that were put in last night were rather hasty, and we're steadily improving those, but we're going to see that the fire's going to test those containment lines today. And we get breakouts. They're having one right now, then the fire's going to quickly grow this afternoon again as soon as the wind picks up. Once the humidity comes back down to about 30% this afternoon, we're going to see some explosive fire behavior again.
And so you presented to Commissioners Court today, and they approved the complete ban of fireworks, correct?
Yes, we started working in May with the fireworks industry. We knew that we were going to have a tough drought season during the 4th of July holiday. Really no one envisioned that it would get this bad this quickly. We've literally, since we started meeting with them, have had no rainfall. So what we did agree as a group is that at 700 on the drought index average, that it was a point where we needed to at least restrict to a short sales season. That was the original plan. Then the second level that we built into that was once we reached 750 on the drought index, that we would restrict the sale and use of all fireworks, because at that point everyone agreed that it was just too dangerous to have anything that could start a fire that readily available. So we're at 750 already. We've surpassed that. We blew through 700. So the plans for a short sales season at this time are not possible, and with the 750, then what we're looking at is a total restriction on the sales and use of fireworks. That includes any fireworks brought in from another county. Any offense, whether the sale or the use of consumer fireworks in Montgomery County, is a Class B misdemeanor.
What's the clause in that?
The Class B misdemeanor could be up to 6 months in jail and a $1,000 fine.
Now, there's a clause, though, in what you presented to commissioners if something...
The expiration of the order will come once the drought index drops back below 700 for average for the county. So we would need to see significant soak-in rainfall. Once we get that rainfall and it drops below 700, then the order automatically expires. And then we have a couple of options at that point in time, depending on where we are. If it's right before July 4th, we could simply take no action and allow them to have a short sales season, or we could institute a short sales season through a separate order if the conditions. It's going to depend a lot on the forecast and what the conditions are looking like for the upcoming days over the July 4th holiday.
What's it going to take, Jimmy, to get that down to that number right now?
There's no good estimate because we're really in an area where we just haven't seen these type of drought levels. So talking with the climatologists, the Forest Service, the Weather Service folks, no one can really give us a good estimate because we just never been this high. So our best estimates are now that at least 3 inches of rain before we really start soaking and significantly affecting our drought index. A half-inch rain here and there is really not going to do anything to relieve it, and we can in fact lose that half-inch rain to evaporation within just a day or two. So it really wouldn't even affect our drought index at all.
Now, the emergency declaration that's in place, if you do remove it, is it take Commissioner's Court to read it? Say it drops between now and say July 3rd, it drops down to below the number, and then turns right around and comes back up again on July 3rd. What happens?
Well, if it drops below 700, the order that we adopted today will automatically expire. And depending on when it expires, and if we still have any, if we're still prior to July 4th, we have the option. We can look at the forecast. We've got a good relationship with the fireworks industry. We'll look at it. We'll make a recommendation for either no action and could have a short sales season if conditions are safe enough. If conditions are still dangerous, then we can institute another order, and we can take whatever action is appropriate at that time. And that's what we're going to look at. Really what we've waited for the whole time, we've waited until the very end, right before the sales season started, because what we didn't want to do was be talking about at June 1st banning fireworks, because this is an industry. And these are people that are trying to make a living. So obviously we didn't want to go out June 1st and start talking about banning fireworks and hurting the industry and putting out the bad word, because it affects their sales. Even if things were to move forward and improve, many people would hear that we were talking about it, and this really would be irresponsible on our part to do that. So we wanted to work with them, and we've got their cooperation, and we wanted to wait until this point in time to where it was prudent, and it wasn't, we weren't damaging somebody's business needlessly by, crying wolf. We wanted to make certain, and we may get rain this week, and it may be a moot point, but it's pretty unlikely at this point that we're going to get enough rainfall anytime soon to drop below 700.
All right,
Okay, now
thanks.
what about, you said it's Class B misdemeanor, now the use of fireworks and anything is effective immediately, 10 o'clock this morning, we're basically
Yes,
effective.
once the order's signed, it becomes effective, and 60 hours it goes to the governor. Commissioner's Court's already has approved it. That's required by state law. The judge's original order is good for 7 days. If the Commissioner's Court did not extend it, it would still be good for those 7 days. They have approved the extension, and since it involves fireworks, state law says that the governor has to approve extension beyond 60 hours. So that's a special provision if it restricts fireworks. So it's now been approved by the Commissioner's Court, issued by the county judge, and it now goes to Governor Perry's office. And there's over 100 counties right now that have already done that, and mostly in West Texas and Central Texas, and the governor's extended every one of those.
Now, Guadalupe County, they've gone something else, they've gone on barbecues, even barbecue pits.
Yep. And we're going to be releasing more information later on today, but what we tell people is that anything that can start a fire outdoors, you need to be careful. We're not restricting anything, but what we would ask people at this point is to consider using only propane-powered barbecue pits and grills. The problem with charcoal pits is that they leave a hot ash that you must deal with. If you, for some reason, decide to use that, if it's your only avenue for a charcoal fire, then you need to take those coals out and put them in a bucket of water. Make sure they're completely out before you dispose of them. Also need to be careful with large barbecue pits. Just the heat from the pit itself has ignited some fire. So that's obviously something we want to be concerned with. And one of the things I would tell people right now is we've had some fires from cigarettes on the side of the road. Now's the time to clean out your ashtray, take that change out of there, and use it for what it's designed for. Don't throw the cigarettes out the window.
What about four-wheelers? Some of these four-wheelers have been modified, don't have the spark arresters out in these woods.
Obviously, I can tell you that in the National Forest, you're required to have spark arresters. You should be that. We would discourage any type of activity in a wooded area that could start a fire. We want to be aware of anybody that's trespassing or criminal mischief or even juveniles playing with fire. That's been a problem in recent weeks now that school's out. So any type of mechanical equipment, hay baling equipment has been known to start fires and quite frequently does when it malfunctions. Again, any type of activity outdoors should be restricted. During these red flag days, it shouldn't be restricted. It'd be curtailed completely. So what we'd be asking anybody today during the red flag conditions, don't weld or cut outdoors, don't grind metal, anything that could ignite a fire, take extra precautions and just curtail those activities for the duration of the afternoon while we're under red flag conditions.
You were on the Walker County fire yesterday. What's that look? I mean, how possible is something like that happening in Montgomery County?
It's obviously we actually have worse drought conditions in Montgomery County than Walker County. One of the things that allowed that fire to get so big so quickly is it's in a large pine plantation area where there's a lot of fuel. We have many areas in Montgomery County in very similar fuel types, lots of pine trees. Intermixed with ours, though, are homes. We have 375,000 people living outside of a municipality in Montgomery County. All of those folks live in close proximity to trees and wildland areas, and they're in the urban wildland interface, and that's a risk area that we're concerned about. So obviously these fires have a potential. We have a lot of good resources. We have a lot of good firefighters that are doing a good job right now. And we need to do our part as citizens to help them by doing anything we can to prevent additional fires. I can't stress enough about being careful. Even something as simple as just pulling off the side of the road and parking your vehicle in a grassy area can ignite a fire. But cigarettes, welding, cutting, barbecue pits, if you're going outdoors, think about what you're doing. Could anything I do possibly start a fire?
Okay.
Right.
You said which deputy was it that was this?
Lloyd Reynolds,
Lloyd Reynolds, okay, the
recently retired bailiff, jailer, and